Tales of the Empire came as a surprise to the community, and I think it could possibly become some of the best we've seen in canon, especially if you enjoy the darker elements of Star Wars. Tales of the Empire looks incredibly interesting. It has captured at least the hearts of many dark side and Empire fans in the Star Wars community based on what we saw in the most recent trailer that we got yesterday. And I am personally one of those fans who are extremely excited about this project because I have felt for a long time that Star Wars have been slacking when it comes to the darker elements of Star Wars. So this series is definitely quite intriguing, and this time around with this little mini-series or quote-unquote shorts as Star Wars like to label them, we'll focus on Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee. Morgan Elsbeth you've seen in the Mandalorian series as well as the Ahsoka series, and Barriss is a character who we saw a few times in the Clone Wars series. Both of these characters have their reason for either turning to the Empire or turning to the dark side of the Force. Morgan is trying to get her revenge, most likely on General Grievous, who killed all of the Night Sisters during the massive genocide on Dathomir. And then we have Barriss Offee, who framed some crimes on Ahsoka and then ended up in a fight with Anakin and then eventually captured and sent to jail. And now with the Empire ruling the galaxy, she's been taken out of jail and given a position alongside the rest of the Inquisitors under the leadership of Darth Vader. So this little mini-series will be focusing on these two characters and their stories. I am not that interested in the stories of Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee, but that's based primarily on just my personal opinion on the characters themselves. I just don't find them very interesting. But I'm basing this opinion on the material that we've gotten about these two characters so far in Star Wars, and to me it hasn't been enough to make me care much about them. But this could definitely change now with Tales of the Empire, because one of the whole reasons for Disney Star Wars to make the Tales of the Empire or Tales of the Jedi is to give context and more lore to these individual characters, which will obviously build up their significance in the Star Wars timeline. But besides from these two characters, we also have a handful of returning Star Wars characters that are fan favorites among many Star Wars fans, especially by those who are a fan of the dark side or the Empire. So those who we see are the Grand Inquisitor, General Grievous, Darth Vader, and one of my favorites, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Or in this case, he's not Grand Admiral yet, he is only an Admiral of the Imperial Navy. Which already there gives us an indication of where we are in the timeline, because you can match the rank of Thrawn as an Admiral in Tales of the Empire with the stories we have in canon and even the novels, which shows how he gradually ranks within the Empire. When I watched the trailer and I saw these characters on screen, I have to be honest, I was shocked by their appearance, and not because I found them to be weird, but because I just love the characters. The characters are so interesting, and especially when we see them return and given more light in the Star Wars universe, oh, it's so good. I love it. Of course, seeing the return of Darth Vader isn't exactly new, but his presence is nevertheless extremely awesome, and I think whenever he is on screen, there is no point in denying the fact that he's going to help push the narratives of the Empire forward, which is exactly what we want right now with Tales of the Empire. General Grievous will also have a menacing return, and I do really hope that this will be the one time that we'll see General Grievous truly show his menace in the Star Wars universe. Aside from what we've seen in Star Wars Legends, in Star Wars canon, General Grievous has been quite weak. Like throughout the Clone Wars, he was basically just there for show, did a little bit of fighting, and then screaming, getting angry, and escape. But we haven't really seen the true dark side of Grievous, and I think this time it will be the perfect opportunity to highlight him as the menacing figure he is meant to be. The Grand Inquisitor is someone who I'm a little bit curious about what they're going to do with. From what we've seen in the trailer, he looks to be just a trainer of Barriss Offee who is going to become an Inquisitor. So I'm not entirely sure if we're going to see the Grand Inquisitor do much outside of just training a new Inquisitor. I really do hope we'll see some more powers of the Grand Inquisitor and see him do something unique that the viewers don't expect, but if they mainly keep him to a teacher role for these particular episodes, I wouldn't be opposed to it. but I'm a little bit unsure based on the trailer of what we're going to see from him outside of just being a teacher and someone who's testing the potential of an upcoming Inquisitor. And of course, we have none other than Grand Admiral Thrawn, who again is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars of all time because he is so fascinating. And I think you will agree with me there if you have read all of the Star Wars Thrawn novels, at least in the canon timeline. So in Tales of the Empire, I think Thrawn's position here is mainly just a key element for Morgan Elsbeth to become involved with the Empire. Now, how all of that is going to unfold, I'm a little bit unsure, because to me, if a character like Morgan involves themselves with the Empire, especially because she is a former Night Sister, I do feel like Palpatine would have had a say in the matter, and most likely, he probably would have said no because of the risks, or the danger, or just because of his dislike of the Night Sisters. But Thrawn, on the other hand, he sees that Morgan could be a great asset to the Empire, so he might secretly take her under the wing without informing the higher authority of the Empire. And this could be one of the reasons why Morgan seems incredibly loyal to Thrawn, especially after what we saw in the Ahsoka series, where she's willing to sacrifice herself. And right before she does that, she does mention that she's doing all of this for Thrawn, and then Thrawn corrects her and says, no, we're doing all of this for the Empire. So what is going on here is that I think Thrawn helped her get her vengeance, and then after that she kind of decided to stick along with Thrawn and help him with all of his other quests during his operation with the Empire, and of course with the rebuilding of a new Empire that we saw in the Ahsoka series. So with all of these returning characters, there's so much that can happen in Tales of the Empire, and I'm incredibly interested to see where it's gonna go. Luckily for us, a lot of the main voice actors for these characters are returning. People we heard in Star Wars The Clone Wars, or Lars Mikkelsen, who will voice Thrawn, or Jason Isaac, who will voice the Grand Inquisitor, and so on. Dave Filoni is the one who's been creating the series as a supervising director and executive producer, alongside a few handful of other producers who have been around for Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. I really hope that this series will be good, because if it does, we could possibly get a second season at some point, and right now I really feel that the push for more stories around the dark side or the Empire is something that we need in Star Wars. In my opinion, we almost need as much of that as we need the light side / the Jedi side stories and such. But the next Tales of the something will probably be Tales of the Jedi Season 2, or a Tales of the High Republic, or possibly Tales of the Final Order or Tales of the First Order. There's a lot of possibilities with what they can go with the next Tales of series, but we'll have to just see where they go after Tales of the Empire. But with all that said, I would be interested to know what you guys think of the trailer for Tales of the Empire. Did it intrigue you, or are you not interested in this mini-series? Let me know in the comment section below. So with that, never forget, the Force is always with you.